Good evening, sports zonians. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I am Mike Aglioloro. I am your host for this is SportsZone. Coming to you live like we do each and every week here via the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Radio Network. We got a good show for you tonight. Unfortunately, no Dave Hastings with us tonight, but we will be joined by Erich in a matter of moments here. And we got a lot to talk about tonight. We'll look back at Week 15 in the NFL. We'll also do a little preview to, no, I don't know if preview is the right word, but we'll wind up looking at the playoff picture and maybe kind of predicting who we think is going to wind up getting in when everything clears over the next 2 weeks, because we got some division races, we got some wild card races heating up. We have the Chargers Chiefs madness that went on Thursday night to talk about. Cowboys got shut out to the Colts. Patriots wind up getting stunned by the Steelers, who can never beat the Patriots. They were able to do it on Sunday. You have the Rams kind of falling back to earth a little bit, getting beat by the Eagles on Sunday night. So we have a whole lot of things to talk about there. And we'll also talk some baseball news. The Yankees wound up re-signing Jay Happ last week. They did see Lance Lynn sign with the Rangers, so they lost him. So right now, barring something totally unforeseen and shocking, the Yankee rotation would appear to be set for the most part heading into the season with James Paxton, Masahiro Tanaka, Lou Severino, CC Sabathia, and Jay Happ all pinned into the rotation right there. And then you look across town. Last couple we've talked about the Mets. We talked about the Mets moves a couple weeks ago. We talked about the rumors coming out in winter meetings last week. And thankfully, the Mets did not wind up giving up Noah Syndergaard to the Yankees or any other team in any permutation of the proposed JT Realmuto trade, because, of course, Realmuto, as we said last week, was kind of the big target for the Mets over the last few weeks. The Mets decided Derek Jeter's asking price was a little too high, so they wound up signing Wilson Ramos to a 2-year, $19 million contract with a team option for a third year. They signed a couple players to some minor league deals in veteran center fielder Raj Davis and former heralded prospect Zach Lee in a move that was just reported on a couple hours ago, actually. And, we'll get into this when Erich comes in. I have been saying for about 2 years now that I want to see the Mets go out and completely revamp the bullpen, bring in about 2 or 3 top-tier arms. You don't want to spend money on the rest of the team. All right, fine. Spend money on the bullpen. And then they made the Robinson Cano trade where they also get Edwin Diaz, a 24-year-old closer who's, had a couple really good years, and now everybody wants to believe, and I hope it's true too, that he is one of the top closers in baseball. I really hope that's true, and I am excited to see what he can do in the Big Apple. But I had made the comment a couple weeks ago that this works out. The Mets are able to go out and add 2 top-tier relievers. And if you look at the market for relievers, you have a lot of big names. We only really talked about 3 of them on the show here, in Andrew Miller, David Robertson, and the third name, Zach Britton. Zach Britton. But you look at the list of pitchers who are available. You also have Adam Ottavino, who very stupidly said that if he played today, he would be able to strike out Babe Ruth every time he faced him, which you take that for what it's worth. But you got him, who's been very good over his career pitching in Colorado. And then you have Kelvin Herrera, who had a brilliant career with the Kansas City Royals, and he pitched for the Washington Nationals this past season. And you got some other big names on here, too. Brad Brock, who has been very good pitching for the Orioles the last few years. So you have all these names that are out there, and you look at pitchers from the left side. I mean, not as many options once you get past Miller and Britton. The options for lefty relievers kind of go down a little bit. You have Justin Wilson, who's a former Yankee. You have Tony Sipp, who's pitched very well. I think he's fallen off the last couple of years, but was pretty highly touted for a few years there, pitching with the Astros, I believe, and I believe he's also pitched with the Diamondbacks. So you have a whole lot of options out there. And the Mets decided to give a 3-year, $30 million contract on Jeurys Familia, who we all know as being the closer of the Mets from 2015 through midway through this season. And here's the thing. Everybody loves to brag on this guy. And here's my feeling on it. I've always been a Familia defender. Anyone who says that Familia single-handedly blew the World Series, in my opinion, should never fault anybody for their opinions. You should always respect everyone's opinion. In my opinion, anybody who feels that way is either an idiot or someone who only looks at things through a vacuum, doesn't really remember how those last couple World Series games played out, because Familia did, in fact, blow Game 1 of the World Series. It was his first blown save in over 4 months at that time. And then in Games 4 and 5, his defense totally failed him. He, in both games, what would have been the final out was a ground ball that in Game 4 was mishandled by Daniel Murphy. And then in Game 5, David Wright gets the ball, throws the first base. Lucas Duda, all he has to throw is throw off the catcher somewhat straight, and he decided to do a 50-cent imitation and completely cost us the game. So Jeurys Familia did not, in fact, blow the World Series for the Mets. His defense failed him behind him, and he simply was the guy holding the bag. Now, he blew the 2006 wild card, definitely. But overall, if you look at what he did in the 2015 postseason, up until that World Series, dude had given up like maybe 2 hits the whole time. Now, unfortunately, since that 2015 World Series, he had been getting less and less effective. Anyway, Familia at face value is a good reliever. To put him in the 8th inning is fine. But my whole thing is this can't be your last bullpen. You have to go out and get another arm, if for no other reason, to take some pressure off of Familia and the rest of the bullpen. You have to be able to do that. Having one more guy, preferably from the left side, but even if it's not from the left side, a guy, we go back to the list, Robertson, Andrew Miller, Britt, Brad Brown, some of the other guys I named there, Ottavino, Sipp. Any one of those guys, you bring them in, you can rotate them with Familia so you don't just have one option for the 8th inning. You, in essence, are able to kind of shorten the game a little bit, because now you have guys to pitch the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th inning. And you still have Gesellman and Lugo in that bullpen. And now you have 5 bona fide relievers who could handle the pressure. Part of the reason why Gesellman kind of faltered later in the season, and Lugo did to an extent, and it's what always happens with Met relievers. They run them into the ground by using them just about every day. So by June, July, and August, they're nowhere near as effective as they were in April and May. So I'm still holding out hope that they are able to add another reliever. But if they don't, I'm going to be honest, this is a typical Mets move. You go out and rather than giving them big dollar contracts to one of the top names out, you overpay for a guy you probably didn't need to give that much money to, and you act like you did something special. Okay? If he's not the only guy they add to the bullpen, great. If he's the only other guy they add to it, you messed up. You messed up, not going to lie. So that's my feelings on Familia. Ramos, I thought was a good signing. They, like I said, they added Rajai Davis on a minor league deal. If he's a 4th or 5th outfielder, great. If he's your starting center fielder, you got problems. You got some serious problems there. And at the press conference today, I know the feeling a lot of people came out of the press conference with is that maybe the Mets, not necessarily that they were done spending this offseason, but maybe they wouldn't look to add any other big dollar contracts. But with that, we are going to welcome Erich to the program. Erich, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. How you doing, Mike?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. So I had kind of started talking some of the baseball moves we have seen over the last week. And, of course, I started with the Mets here. So let me ask you, what was your first thought? Because you have heard me on this show for over a year talk about how I want to see the Mets go out and add all these relievers, and if they do nothing else, but they help the bullpen out, it's a decent off season. And we talked a couple weeks ago, they got Edwin Diaz, and I said I want them to get 2 more relievers, and you mentioned, I think the quote was, yeah, but you wanted them to get all these relievers last year, and that didn't happen. And it kind of, so the Mets had Erich Familia last week for 3 years, $30 million. So what was your initial reaction when you heard that
one? The Mets are the Mets. I mean, I don't know any other way to describe it. They just can't get out of their own way. I mean, they really should be out signing some relievers. Instead, they're out re-signing Erich Familia. You know what you're getting with him. How about bringing some new blood in there? How about bringing some new people in there? Change the culture. Change the attitude. Change the personnel. The personnel you have isn't working. Get rid of it. Now, I like the move to bring in Diaz. I think he's a good young closer. I think he's one of the better young closers right now in the game. Has a ton of talent, so I like that move going to the bullpen. But re-signing Familia when there are so many other guys between Kimbrel and Miller and Robertson.
You want me to run down the list?
No. I mean, the list is obvious. And the guy that they focus on is Erich Familia. That, to me, is what bothers me. You could have went out, and I mean, if you paid him $10 million a year, gave him 3 years, $30 million, you could have got somebody else for 12. But you're just being cheap, and you're going with what you know. It's a Met move. I don't know any other way to describe it. Brody Van Wagenen's comments today or maybe they were yesterday, were nauseating to hear that he's like, I think we're the favorites right now in the NL East. We have 2 bats. Why? Because you signed Ramos?
Wait a minute.
You think and then you get Cano, and then you think oh well, I added 2 bats in the lineup. We got a catcher now. We're probably the best, the team to beat in the NL East. No, you're not. You may be the 3rd best team in the NL East, if that.
Hang on. Let me kind of come back in here for a second. All right. So to go to your first point, as I said before you came on, if the Mets turn around and add someone else to go with Familia, I am fine with them bringing Familia back. If they get an Andrew Miller or a Zach Britton or a Robertson, Adam Ottavino, Brad Brock, Hunter Strickland, you can go through the list of everyone who is available this offseason. You added another guy like that, and you're not just relying on Familia to be your 8th inning guy, good move. If it's not, then yes, you are 100% right. My first thought when I heard this was, this is typical Mets. Let's overpay for a guy we know rather than going out and giving that money to someone who probably is an elite relief pitcher. So I'm not totally disagreeing with you on that. I'm still holding out hope for another relief pitcher. So that's number one. Number two, the Brody Van Wagenen comments, which were today. You were right about that. They were today. I'm torn on that one because my initial thought is, what do you expect the guy to say? You expect him to say...
Hey, you're still working. You're still striving. You're still trying to get the team better. You don't come out and say we're now the favorites in the NL East after the crappy moves they made. Because I'll tell you what, if the Phillies go out and sign Machado or Harper, that instantly puts them ahead of the Mets. And, I mean, again, I don't see a way that the Mets are without signing, relief pitching and some more offense. I still think they're in a lot of trouble this year.
Well, hang on. I'm gonna finish my sentence real quick because I get that point that you could have said we're still working, but you know something? I'm sorry. 90% of the GMs out there are going to project some degree of confidence. So I don't think he's the only one who would have come out and said something like that. And here's the thing. You call these crappy moves. I'm not saying they're amazing moves. You can't say the team's not improved from what it was this past season. You can't say that.
I think it's to be determined. I don't think them is better than last year. I think it's to be determined. You don't know what you're going to get out of a 36-year-old Cano.
I think they're better than a 77-win team. That's what these moves have done. Now, they're not a 90-win team yet. I'm not even trying to say that. They're a mid-80s win team right now. At the very least, you are better than you were last year. You're still not – listen, I'm not disputing with you. This ain't the best team in the division. I'm not arguing with you on that. Not by a long shot. You still, in my opinion, you need to add 2 more bats to this team. And he didn't sound like he wanted to add 1 or 2 more bats. You need to add a utility player, someone like a Marwin Gonzalez type. I would have liked a Chris Owens, but he signed with the Royals a few weeks ago. Someone who can play multiple positions. You also have Jeff McNeil, who it sounds like they're not giving the starting third baseman job to. So if you have him on the bench, you had another utility player. Now you got some options who can kind of go around and play 3 or 4 days a week, and you'd probably still be in pretty good shape. And you have to do something about center field. You have to do something about center field. I would like A.J. Pollock on a 4-year, $60 million deal. If they could do that, who knows? And you need another reliever.
Well, let me ask you.
Yeah.
Say it would take the Mets 4 years. Say they could get him to agree to a 4-year deal, but he wants, I'm going to put out there $70 million. Are you giving him the extra 10? Do you think that, and not just you, but do you think that the Mets will go that extra 10 to get a guy like that? So I'm saying you want him on a deal that's pretty friendly. If you have to go just outside of your comfort zone, are the Mets going to go just outside of their comfort zone to get a guy like that?
Me personally, I'm not horrified by going to $7 million. Me personally, I'm not horrified by going to $70 million. I'm not delighted by it because of his injury history, but I'm not horrified for it. As for the Mets, I think it would, like we saw with the JT Realmuto situation, which I think we can both agree, the Mets made the right move not giving in to Derek Jeter's demands for JT Realmuto. You agree with me on that one, right?
What was his demands? I got to hear the demands.
Well, Syndergaard was that whole talk that we had last week about the rumors with the Mets and the Yankees and the 3-team deal. That was about getting JT Realmuto, and Syndergaard would have gone to the Yankees in that. Then you had one with the Padres instead of the Yankees, and Syndergaard would have gone to the Padres in part to get Realmuto. And then if it was just a straight up, they actually wanted Syndergaard straight up for Realmuto, and if they couldn't get that, they were asking for 2 out of 3 between Nimmo, Conforto, and Rosario plus prospects. Now, I would have given up Nimmo plus prospects. I would not have given up 2 of those 3 because those are guys you're counting on to start for you for the next 3 or 4
years. Yeah, I mean, it's the – and instead they went out and got Ramos. So,
and I like Ramos, but you agree with me.
Coming off injury, you got to know. You got to worry that the
no. Last year isn't the year he got hurt. That ACL is from 2000.
No, I know it was 16, but I mean he didn't have a very good year last year.
He was an all-star last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Was he? I thought he had a down year last year.
No, he had a.
Or maybe it was a down start to the year.
And maybe it was a start, but he actually had a pretty good season last year. He played for both the Phillies and the Rays last year. He had a pretty good year last year. So
yeah, I want to see the numbers.
I can bring.
I don't know why. I have a feeling he didn't play to like his normal stats last year. I don't know why I have a feeling about that, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think very welcome. Well, I'm pulling it up right now, but yes or no question, the Mets would have given up too much to get JT Realmuto. We can agree on that one, right?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, they would have gave up too much.
Okay. So anyway, the reason why I had asked you that to begin with is it's all about, I don't even really know how to word it, but in a situation like that, if you can't get your first option, if you can pivot back and get a second or third option, the Mets may wind up doing that if they think $70 million is too much for A.J. Pollock. Now, the problem is the second and third options in center field in this outfield market, Adam Jones would have been great 3 or 4 years ago. Now, from everything I've heard, he may not even be a legit center fielder anymore. Like, bat-wise, I think he's still pretty good. But to answer your question, Ramos played 111 games last year, 416 at-bats, 15 home runs, 70 RBIs. He's never hit more than 22 home runs in a season, so 15 is not off for him, and he had a 306 batting average, 358 on base.
Okay.
So, no,
all right, so the batting average was better than I thought it was. I thought he was in the twos.
And I'm right. He was an all-star last season. He's a 2-time all-star. Okay. Yeah. So
I stand corrected.
Yep. That's okay. That's okay. Listen, I would like to – we can agree also. Adam Jones is not what he was 3 or 4 years ago, yes?
No, absolutely not. He's not the same player, not the same outfielder. I mean, he's almost got to be in his 30s now, right?
He is 33, actually. Pollock is 31 as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, once you start getting into, like, the 30s, I wouldn't start giving guys big deals. You saw how bad that hurt the Yankees with I mean, the crap ton of money they're still paying and will be paying Ellsbury for the next couple of years. Not worth overpaying some of these older outfielders. If you can bring up some young guys, or if you could find some young guys, I would go that route instead. I mean, getting guys like Adam Jones, 33, like you said, he's already fading skills-wise. I mean, he's still a good player, but I wouldn't sign him to be, like you said, your starting center fielder or anything. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't see those as necessarily viable options to improve the Met team. I got to think there's better options out there, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, listen, unfortunately, some of the center fielder names that are out there, it's Jones, it's Pollock, it's Shane Robinson, Cameron Maybin, Daynard Swan, who hasn't been any good in about 3 years, John Jay, Carlos Gomez, and then you go to, like, Austin Jackson. I liked Austin Jackson when he was a Met for a couple months there, but you bring him in, I'm not going to pretend that I would think that we've markedly improved our team with Austin Jackson. In the end, I would like to see, in the scenario you just named, $70 million instead of $60 million, I would like to think that they would match that, because unfortunately you have to make another big move. And I'm not saying Pollock's like a cleanup hitter or anything like that. And you bring Pollock on now, where you're just hoping that Ramos can give you 120 games. Now you're hoping for another guy who can stay healthy over the course of the season, which is why a guy like Marwin Gonzalez becomes even more important, at least in my thought, because then you have another guy who you could swap in so he could play a corner outfield. You move Nimmo to center field a couple times a week so you can give him some rest, so you don't necessarily have to count on him playing 150 games there. Now, I'll say this, though. I do think Van Wagenen is more likely to do it than any other Met general manager we've seen in the last 20 years.
I don't know. I think it's a wait-and-see approach. I want to see what other moves they make. And I'm still waiting for the Machado-Harper shoes to fall. Like everybody kind of is. I also think that's why you haven't really seen the outfield market go anywhere yet.
Yeah. Let me ask you something.
But neither of them are going to get the money they want either, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. There's just not – like the demand to me is not there for them as much. Like it looked like there were going to be a lot of teams who needed those particular positions. For some reason, the demand just doesn't really seem to be there. But let me ask you something. Because when Francesa opened his show yesterday, he said something to the effect that we'll see what the Yankees wind up doing starting Wednesday. Does that mean anything to you? Does something happen on Wednesday for the Yankees?
It doesn't mean anything to me. But maybe he knows something that we don't know. And they're going to make a move. Possible. Maybe they were going to make a move before the holidays. I don't know. But, the date of Wednesday isn't significant to me. So, listen, I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now. I hope that they just make it rain on everyone. I want everyone. I hope it's a free-for-all.
But you
got all the money to do it. But, we are now one of the middle-of-the-road payroll teams as it almost stands right now. I think we're like ninth or around ninth this year in payroll, which is pretty low for the Yankees. And we've reset the cap. We've done everything we've wanted to do. We have good young talent that we don't have to pay for at least another 4 years. I am all for paying out some money. And I even said I would be all for, and I don't know why more people aren't talking about it, overpay for Machado and Harper for 4 or 5 years. Get them during the best years of their career and overpay them for it. Why waste all that money on the back end that in years 7, 8, 9, 10, that the deal is going to be crap and their stats are going to go downhill and the money's not going to be worth it? Overpay them for the 5 years that it's worth it. They, give them each, if they want 35, 40 million for 5 years, give it to them. Give it to them. You're paying less in the long run. You're going to get them during the prime of their career. We had the money to do it. We're probably the only team that has the funds to really do it. I say go all in, give them each 5-year deals, $35 million a year, and, say, let's go, guys, or $40 million a year if that's what it takes. Give it to them, pay a whole bunch of the relievers, pick your stack, pick any 3 or 4 you want to sign from there, and let's go. Let's go have some fun. I'm ready. Let's make it rain.
Here's the thing. Twofold. I don't think they're actually going to make it rain because this ain't the way that they did things. This ain't the way they actually did things 10 years ago. Because 10 years ago, not only would they have made it rain, but they also would have signed Machado and Harper whether or not they really needed them or not. Because you look at the Yankees team, they don't need Machado and Harper. I'm sorry, they don't. You're going to get Didi back in probably halfway through the season. You need to stop that either second or short. And maybe you need a veteran first base option to bring in and kind of push Voit and Bird. That's it. That's all you need offensive-wise. That's it. Because you got your outfield set. You brought Gardner back on a 1-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. So you have your set outfield. And you still got Clint Frazier poking around there, even though you really haven't shown any inclination to use the guy at all. So you still have him. And you got the rest of your team set. What you need to do, and you got your rotation set, by the way, too. You can comment on Jay Happ at some point here, too, because you did resign him last week. You need to get your bullpen guys back. That's about it.
Yeah, no, bullpen guys, we need one more starter. CeCe's not a 5. I'm sorry. CeCe's got to go to a long relief, and when we need him to be a starter for an injury or a spot start here or there, that's what we need CeCe for. We need to save his knees for the end of the year. They need another starting pitcher. I'm sorry, I love CeCe. I'm great. I'm very happy they re-signed him, but he is not a 5. He should not be the 5. And I hope listen, honestly, the whole reason they re-signed Gardner and re-signed CeCe isn't because they're great players and probably deserve roster spots. It's because they are great clubhouse guys, and they are teaching this young core of kids the way to do business the Yankee way. And I think that that's what's important, and that's the reason they're still there. And I think the older CeCe gets, the more CeCe realizes he can't pitch every 5th day. He can't. He even knows it. He doesn't. He breaks down himself. So why not save him? It makes no sense.
I'm sorry, Eric. I was just going to say, he had a pretty good year for you last year, though.
No. He's a solid pitcher, but he breaks down. He does. He misses starts. He didn't start all his starts last year. He has knee issues. They are there. They are not going away. And any innings we can save him on that knee to get him fresher for the end of the season and the postseason when we will probably need him most. That's what I think we should do. We need to sign another guy. I don't know who that guy is. I'm not sure who exactly in the last couple of days has been signed.
Oh, Matt Harvey. Matt Harvey just signed with the Angels.
Yeah, well, nobody cares about that. He's washed up.
Yeah, no, I know that now he'll go to the Angels and be a Cy Young Award winner.
Who knows? Who's out there starting pitching-wise, though? Can you tell me who's still out there? Evaldi signed with the Red Sox, right?
Yeah, Evaldi, 4 years. I think it was $60 million. He went to the Red Sox. All right, I'm going to run down the list. This is on MLBTradeRumors.com. Brett Anderson, Clay Buchholz, Trevor Cahill, Bartolo Colon, Marco Estrada, Doug Fister, Giovanni Gallardo, Jaime Garcia, Gio Gonzalez, Miguel Gonzalez, Jason Hamill, Jeremy Hellickson, Derek Holland, Drew Hutchinson, Edwin Jackson, Nate Carnes, Dallas Keuchel is still out there, Francisco Liriano, Wade Miley, Shelby Miller, Martin Perez, Drew Pomeranz, Erasmo Ramirez, Anibal Sanchez, Irvin Santana, Hector Santiago, James Shields, Matt Schumacher, Chris Tillman, and Josh Tomlin. So are you making a run at Keuchel?
Keuchel, or I'll tell you what, maybe Hamill is a fifth starter.
Oh, Jason Hamill? That's not a bad idea, actually. I
don't know. So
you'd be cheap.
We've had Jaime Garcia. We don't need him back. We've, maybe we see what you can get out of Gio Gonzalez. He's had some good years, in the past.
Mm.
I'm not sure what he did last year, but maybe a guy like him. But honestly, it would probably be Keuchel at this point if you're going to sign somebody. If you're going to trade for somebody, I'm still, on board with that idea, but I'd want to know the package of players going. But I think we need one more starting pitcher. I think that's what this team's missing.
Yeah, well, Kluber was obviously the big name that was bandied about on the trade market, both him and Trevor Bauer from Cleveland. But it seems like that those talks have kind of died on the vine a little bit over there. So you got that. But, Keuchel's weird because a couple of years ago, I really thought you guys would make a run at him. But to see him still available and the guys who got the big money this offseason were your Corbins and your Ecavaldis, and Keuchel's actually won a Cy Young Award. He's still out there. That's just strange to
me. Yeah, it is a little strange.
All right. Do you have any last thoughts on baseball? I know you got to run in a little while, so let's move. So I'd like to move to football. Any last thoughts?
No, again, I'm just still waiting on the Machado Harper shoes to drop. I think that'll kick off the rest of the market. You'll see a lot of all the relievers start going, everybody start going, but I think everybody's just kind of standstill waiting to see what happens with those two. So we'll see what happens, and I'm still just pumped for baseball season already.
Yeah, my last thought is going to be, as far as the Mets moves, decent, not great. I still think I would still like to see them make at least 3 more moves. They make the moves that I would like them to make, or at least they make moves along those lines. I think they got something. Overall, you can't say this has been a boring offseason out of the Mets. From probably the most exciting offseason we've seen from the Mets in years. Agree?
I got to tell you, if this is the most exciting Met offseason in years, and they don't make any other moves, I'm going to tell you that's sad.
Well,
I don't know any other way to describe it.
You
guys need to make another move. To make it a great offseason, you need to make a few more moves.
Okay. Notice I said exciting. I did not say great. There is a difference between exciting and great. And
I don't think it's that exciting if you don't sign anybody else. You got to sign some more guys. You got to energize that fan base.
I'm not going to argue with you on that point. I will say to this point, just to see the Mets back in the hot stove market, because let's be honest, they haven't been in the hot stove market in about 3 or 4 years. Since the Cespedes deal in 2016. That was the last one. That's about it. So, unfortunately, this has been the most exciting one in a while, but I agree with you. I do want to see more. They need to do more because this right now he gets an incomplete. So, let's move to football. Real quick, I know you and Dave were kind of going you guys were a little amped up over that Chargers-Chiefs finish, huh?
The Chargers-Chiefs finish?
From Thursday night.
Yeah, because it was terrible. It was the worst 4 minutes of football I think I've ever seen.
You can feel free to go into it a little bit because I did see it too, and it definitely was a little strange to me to say the least. But go ahead.
Well, no, I want to hear what was strange to you. You heard a little bit of me and Dave were going back and forth. I want to get your opinion on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. It's kind of I didn't really watch the clips before the show to really refresh my memory. So I was kind of hoping you would refresh me a little bit on it, because I did actually see it. A lot has happened in the last few days for me, so it's not as fresh. I know the refs screwed it up. And what was it? They called a pass interference call on the Chiefs in the end zone. That it was like third or fourth down. It would have been one of the last plays of the game. The Chargers got the ball back, reset the downs, moved into the end zone. They scored on the next play, and then, of course, they hit the 2-point conversion. And basically, that bad pass interference is what screwed up the game.
Pretty much in a nutshell. But, I mean, it was just so much more than that. The way they screwed these calls up, I mean, it's just how they called pass interference there, I have no idea.
Now, I do remember. I mean,
it was just.
Sorry, I was just going to say, that was not pass interference from what I was seeing, at least.
No, was this the same refs that were doing the Cowboy-Eagle game last week?
Does it
week
matter?
Before? No, I'm not even joking.
But does it matter?
I don't understand how you screw up calls like that cost teams games. These are big games. I mean, the Chargers are now tied with them. I think that, and I get the Chiefs haven't played great football the last couple of weeks, but I mean, you can't get screwed by the refs either. And they were home, I believe, the Chiefs, which is even crazier.
Yes. And you are correct. They are tied now. If I'm not mistaken, the Chiefs do still, in fact, own the tiebreaker on the Chargers, so they haven't lost that. Here's my feeling on it, though. Yeah, it sucks that it cost them a game like that. And unlike what we were talking about with the Eagles-Cowboys game, I don't really feel like that cost the Eagles the game because it happened so early on and they still had chances to capitalize on them. The problem with football is that, unfortunately, bad ref calls have become a part of the sport. It's part and parcel for the way things are going. And yes, you can look to any sport and you can see bad calls from the officials or the refs or the umpires or what have you on an almost daily basis. But I feel like because football is only 16 games for each team, every game is so much more important than a 162-game Major League season or an 82-game NBA season. And when you have a call like that that costs the game and you see it on such a regular basis, it's a bigger problem than the NFL really wants to acknowledge.
Yeah, they got a big problem right now.
Yeah.
I don't know how they fix it. I don't know where they get some new refs from or retrain the refs they got. But, I mean, I don't know. Some of these games are just getting a little hard to watch. Like I said, I really want to know what officiating crew was doing it and if it was the same one as in the Eagle game, because I would have a huge issue with that crew.
I mean, I don't really think it matters what crew it is. I think it's rampant throughout every crew. And if you don't have certain umpires or certain referees in the right spots, it screws the whole thing up. So, anyway, anything else stuck out to you from this past week? How about the fact that for the first time, I think in NFL history, both the Giants and the Cowboys got shut out on the same day. Same day.
Yeah, they both played ugly football.
Yeah.
Neither of them deserved to win. I mean, the Giants look like pitiful out there. I don't know any other way to describe it. They didn't even look like they wanted to be out there. I didn't see the effort this week. I really didn't. And I get it that they would have needed a miracle to get in the playoffs anyway. But if there's if you're saying there's a chance, you got to try. And I just didn't see the effort this week out of the Giants. I didn't get to see a lot of the Cowboy games, so maybe you could speak more to that. But, the Giants were very disappointing this week. And so.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've been working a lot the last few weeks. I didn't see the whole game. I saw some of the highlights. I mean, the bottom line is, in my opinion, as vaunted as this Cowboy defense has become over the last few weeks, you're giving up over 130 yards to freaking Marlon Mack. That's a problem. That's a bad thing. I mean, listen, I get that even the best defense in today's NFL will do something like this on any given Sunday. That's just the way it is when you have a sport that skews the rules to the offense. That's just going to happen. I get that. But what I love is that the Indy defensive coordinator was the Cowboys linebacker coach the last few years. Yeah, good job letting this guy go. Let me tell you, he was ready for this freaking game. He knew everything about us, and he knew everything on how to exploit us, and he did a great job. And then anything, that guy becomes a head coaching candidate as a result of that game. So that's number one. And then this whole debate on whether the problem is the play calling on the offense or Dak Prescott himself, we need some sort of resolution to this because I think right now the problem is both. And, Prescott has lost a lot of shine off his star the last couple of years. But we also know that Linehan is very vanilla in his play calling. And we know, listen, you've called Garrett the puppet head coach for years. I've always been kind of a Garrett defender because I like him. And I remember him as a player and everything. If he gets fired tomorrow, I'm okay with it.
He has to. I don't understand how he's been. Well, I know how he's been in play because he's, Jerry Jones's puppet. He's his pet. He's his, his lapdog, pretty much. To say it's true, and they won't get rid of him. But that's what they need. They need, with these young quarterbacks coming into the league, you need a young offensive mind there with them. And Garrett isn't that guy. I get it that Garrett was a quarterback and a backup quarterback for years, and beloved by Cowboy fans. Put him in the front office. Give him a different role. Do something else with him.
I don't think
coaching up Dak Prescott.
I don't want him in the front office. No, I don't. I think that would be a disaster. I get your.
I think they should outright fire him, but I just don't think Jerry Jones could let go of him.
Well,
that's the problem. Honestly, tell me how Jerry Jones fires him. I don't see it happening. So they got to do something with him. So give him a different role. Make him a player, personnel guy. I don't know. You got to do something with him. He's got to be out of the coaching role.
Here's what it comes down to. They're still 8-6, and they still have a game lead on the division. You got the Bucks, and you got the Giants over the next couple of weeks. If he falls to 8-8 and the team misses the playoffs, I do think he gets fired. If they win out at 9-7 or 10-6, whatever the hell it is, and they make the playoffs, now if they blow the playoffs miserably, which is bound to happen, but if they blow it miserably, then I think it's back to being fired. But I think if he makes the playoffs, it's a 95% shot he comes back next year. And you know that. That's just the way it is. As long as you just win, 9 times out of 10, if you just make the playoffs, you're keeping your job for another year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he's been long overdue there. He's got to go. Got to go. Garrett's got to go. They need a fresh young mind there. And I think you'll see Prescott shine more. I just think, like you said before, it's a vanilla offense right now. And how much can you shine in a vanilla offense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He can only throw the ball to Amari Cooper so many times. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's become a really good connection. I really like the connection between them.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just,
Mm-hmm. No, I do. I definitely do, too. I think they've done very well together. I think Linehan is more likely to go than Garrett, if we're being honest. And I would like to see a legit offensive-minded coordinator who maybe could be groomed to take over for Garrett in the future. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that.
Yeah, but is he going to have the play-calling ability? Is Garrett going to let him call the plays? Is Jerry Jones going to let this guy call the plays? And that's the thing, because if Garrett is still calling plays, if Garrett's still there being the puppet to the show, it's not going to make a difference who they bring in to coach him up. You got to let a new mind come in, and they've got to open up this offense.
Here's the thing. He's not as big of a puppet as you make him out to be, because if he was a puppet, that would mean that Jerry Jones is the one calling the plays and feeding them into Garrett's ear. You know damn well he's not doing that. So your point about
I wouldn't put it past him to call something down from the booth.
You know that's not happening. You might not admit it, but you know that's not happening. Anyway, and truthfully, I don't remember if Garrett's still the one calling the plays or if Linehan's calling the plays. So I will give you that you could be right on that. But, You bring up a valid point. I think we'll just leave it at that one. But I'll say this: despite the fact that he's had to hear that he's Jerry's puppet for like the better part of the last 10 years, hey, take this season away, he's done a better job than he really gets credit for. That's all I'm gonna say. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts on this week, or you want to just move to game picks?
I just think that this is the most weak I've ever seen the NFC East. I can't see any reason that you wouldn't agree with me on that, but this is the weakest NFC East I've seen that I can remember.
I feel like
usually we have at least one powerhouse. We got nobody this year.
Did we have a powerhouse in 2015? Because I feel like it was just as weak as in 2015. Giants weren't really a powerhouse.
No, this is as weak as I can remember, though.
I would argue that 2015 would rival this one, but I don't think you're completely far off there. All right, let's move to game picks here. And so here's the thing. I had proposed earlier in the day that each of us, we pick 3 games together, and each of us pick a game to pick. I still would like to do some version of that, and maybe we could get Dave's picks sometime this week, just so we have them to keep the stats and everything up here. You and Dave both kind of had well, I mean, it was a surprising week in a lot of regards. I don't think there's any way you would have thought that the Chargers and the Eagles would have pulled out those wins against the Rams. Not a banner week for you, my friend.
No, it happens. You know?
Yeah. All right. Here's the deal. I'm gonna pick the first game for the 2 of us to pick. You could pick the second game to pick, and maybe we'll kind of combine on the third game to pick. So the first game I'm gonna pick here is you got Pittsburgh taking on the Saints. And the Saints won an ugly game on Monday night last night. Steelers coming off of their big win against the Patriots, who they never seemingly were able to beat there. I'm going to go with the Saints at home here. Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong week. Saints at home here, I think, are going to take this game over the Steelers, though. I think Saints kind of got on a little bit of a run after that Dallas game, but I'd like to think the win last night gets them back on track here. And I like the Steelers, but I don't think they're going to do it in the Metrodome, though. So I'm going with the Saints there. Who you got?
I'm going with the Saints as well.
Yeah.
I don't trust Pittsburgh right now. I really don't. I don't know. I know they beat New England last week, and I think they're due for a letdown week this week.
All right. So what game would you like us to pick, my friend?
The game I'm going to want us to pick is a Saturday game, the Ravens and the Chargers. The Ravens need the game, stay in the playoff hunt, stay in the playoff picture, be that team there chasing Pittsburgh as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chargers coming off the big win against KC. It's going to be in L.A. Yeah, and I guess I'll kick it off first. I'm going with the underdog. I am. I think that the Ravens and that defense are playing well, and I think the Chargers are due for a letdown. I really do. So I'm taking the Ravens on the road.
I'm going to oppose you on that one. I'm going to stick with the Chargers there. Ravens have – obviously, the Ravens have been one of the hottest teams in the NFL last 3 or 4 weeks. Excuse me. Since they put Lamar Jackson as the starting quarterback, they seemingly turned their entire season around. So I give them a lot of credit for that one. The way the Chargers defense playing has been very well. The offense looks great, and they're getting Melvin Gordon back this week, if I'm not mistaken. So I am going to go with the Chargers here. So we'll see how that one goes. All right. I have a game I think we could pick, and no, it's not a Dallas game. I know you didn't like sticking with the Dallas games for that, so we won't go with that one. Do you have any preferences on the third game?
No, I mean, a game that interests me a little bit, and it's only because they've been playing better and got a chance to get to 500 this week at home, and that was the Bengals-Browns game. That kind of stuck out to me. And then the other game was I mean, that's the one that really stuck out the most to me.
Well, I tell you what then. Let's do both our picks because I like the idea of the Cincy-Cleveland game. So we can do that. And let's also pick the Chiefs-Seahawks Sunday night game. because the Seahawks were playing better until their loss this week. So they got playoffs on the line, if I'm not mistaken. And then you got what the Chiefs have been doing, one of the hottest teams in the NFL up until last Thursday. And if not for those bad calls, maybe still one of the hottest teams in the league. So let's do these two games, and I'll let you go first on your pick. Bengals, Cleveland. Who you got?
Taking Cleveland at home to get to 7-7-1. I think this would be a huge accomplishment for them after the way they started the season. Hugh Jackson getting fired, and the way they've turned it around really since. Mayfield looks like a new man behind center, and I think you could tell it's just really changed the mood in the locker room. And that's kind of what I was alluding to with Dallas and Dak. I think they need a change there too, but. I mean, here that change worked, and Mayfield's playing well. I'm going with the Browns at home to get to 500.
I'm actually with you on that one. Yeah, I mean, the Browns seem to be, at least to me, one of those teams that you always kind of are hoping for the best on because they've been through so much since they've come back in the year 2000. It's just been a horrible 20 years for them. You want them to do better. So, I'm going to go with Cleveland. And I think it's funny because this is the second time Cleveland's taken on the Bengals since Hugh Jackson was fired. Hugh Jackson is now a special assistant to Marvin Jones. And I think the first time these two played, the Browns blew him out or something, and there was the words back and forth. So now you got Hugh Jackson coming back to Cleveland, taking on the Browns. I tell you this, man, I think Greg Williams sticks as the Browns head coach. I don't know if that's the best thing in the long run. But whatever he's been doing since he took over has definitely worked for this team. So I'm going with the Browns. Now, let's look at this Chiefs and Seattle matchup here. And I'll start. I mean, I kind of said it. The Seahawks looked like they were playing much better over the last month. And then they had the game this past week. And the streak ended there. And then you had what went on with the Chiefs there. My biggest worry with the Chiefs is since the Kareem Hunt thing happened, they lost the game because of a technicality, but I just feel like him not being there anymore takes away a huge chunk of their offense because, you have Mahomes, you have a great quarterback there, and it's pass-first offense, but I just feel like the balance he was able to bring there. And you haven't really seen another running back be able to step up and fill in that void. You've seen a couple guys do a couple things, but not the way that Hunt was able to. I do feel like that's going to catch up to them eventually. I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm going to say the Seahawks at home win this game. Who you got?
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head with the Kareem Hunt thing and him not being there, and that you could tell that it's changed that team. It's changed their offense, and they're not as potent as they were with him. And listen, I think there is no room in the NFL for what he did, and I'm glad the Chiefs took the steps to just get rid of him. So I think that was the right move, but in the long run, it actually hurts their team on the field because he was a talented player. So I definitely think it makes their offense more one-dimensional. They don't have the same run attack. Like you said, it wasn't about him running the ball 30 times a game, but it was the threat that he could break something. It was the threat that he brought to that made you go, oh, I can't just, I can't put four in the box and drop everybody else back. I got to, play the run. So, but I'm opposite of you. I think that after the way the Chiefs lost last week, I think they're due for a bounce-back win this week. I know they're playing in Seattle, and that's a tough place to go and play, especially like you said, outside of last week, over the last month or so. Seattle's been playing better football. I just think that the Chiefs' slide is going to eventually come to an end because they're still a good football team, and I think they get the win this week.
All right, so you got KC there. And like I said, I will text Dave in a little while, try to get his pick so we can keep him abreast of the situation too. So I do think we're just about out of here for now. I know you got to be out. I think we probably went a little longer than we really wanted to, but I want to answer your question first. Did you get to see the animated movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse yet?
I have not, and I haven't seen Aquaman either.
Oh, that hasn't come out. That hasn't come out yet. You got till Friday on that one.
Yeah, I'm hearing mixed reviews. I hear a lot of people really like it and had a lot of fun with it. And
Yeah.
I'm hearing some other people weren't as big a fan, and so I'm interested to see what I think. But I'm hearing awesome things about the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse as well. They're saying it could be.
It is amazing, dude. It's a great movie. Like I can tell you right now, Lego Batman was my favorite movie that came out in I think it was either 2017 or it was last year when it came out. And it was a great movie. This is the best animated superhero movie since Lego Batman, without question.
Now, do you think people are going overboard calling it the best Marvel movie possibly of all time?
No, but I don't think they're calling it best
Marvel. Or the best Spider-Man, or the best Spider-Man movie of all time, I should say.
Well, if you saw my Facebook feed after I got out of the movie, I am one of those people. I am not the biggest Spider-Man fan there is. I was always more of an X-Men fan, so I always had a little bias against Spider-Man as a result of it. Like, I like the Raimi movies. I like the first Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. I thought that was pretty good. I liked Homecoming. None of them really got me the way this movie did. So I don't know if people who really like Spider-Man will feel that way. I definitely think they would put that in their top 3 Spider-Man movie stuff.
And I do want to see, even though I saw it already, I mean, it's just pretty much a PG version, but I do want to see Once Upon a Deadpool.
Just remember, if you pay for that movie, you're telling Disney it's okay that you want to see a PG-13 Deadpool.
I just want to laugh. And he makes me laugh. So he plays that part. Nobody else can play that part like he does, in my opinion. So I enjoy him anytime I can get him in that role. So if it's a PG role, I think he's still going to do some funny stuff with it, have some funny jokes about it, because they do that fourth wall break all the time. I've heard really good things about it, that they kind of changed up some things. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
I have no intention of seeing that movie in theaters. I might see it when it comes out on DVD or something like that. I might see it later, but no, I'm not going to see that one in theaters. I do want to see Aquaman, like you. I heard the mixed reviews. I've actually heard people compare it to the ones who didn't like it. Kind of compared it to Venom. That it was a movie that a lot of the critics didn't like, but the fans wound up thinking was pretty good. I liked Venom a lot. From what I heard, this isn't going to be that type of movie, but I think in terms of overall construction, I think that's what the comparison was. So I still want to see Aquaman. Just to see what it's like. I'll tell you another movie I want to see. You know that movie Vice with Christian Bale as Dick Cheney?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I want to see that movie. Those trailers look phenomenal.
I want to see The Mule, actually, with the new Clint Eastwood.
I have no interest in that movie whatsoever.
No?
Listen, I'm not.
I like Clint Eastwood. I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
it's just me.
I think that's what it is. I'm not the biggest Clint Eastwood fan. Like, I see those trailers, and I'm just thinking, dude, you're 90 years old. You probably have more money than 50% of the people on this planet. What are you doing right now?
He's just being a badass.
I guess.
That's just what Clint Eastwood does.
Now, I tell you what movie he directed that I actually really liked. You ever see $1 Million Baby?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was a good movie. Did not see that twist in the middle.
Yep, and I think so there's a lot of stuff. Are you gonna see Mary Poppins?
Hell no.
I don't know. Maybe that's your thing. What other movies are coming out? I feel like there's a whole bunch of blockbusters about to hit.
The one I'm kind of intrigued by, like I've never been the biggest fan of the Transformer movies. That Bumblebee movie.
Everybody's talking about that.
Yeah, that one kind of sounds like it could be pretty good. So I might wind up seeing that one. Yeah. No, like Mary Poppins, like honestly, I don't remember most of the first one. Like I remember vague themes of it. Did you see the honest trailer for Mary Poppins that came out today?
I did not.
That was
Not see them.
That was pretty good. That was pretty funny. It reminded me
But did we really need a Mary Poppins remake?
No. It's a sequel. It's not a remake. It's a sequel. And
sequel remake. Was anybody clamoring for? I need some more Mary Poppins now.
I totally agree.
I mean, maybe just a spoonful of medicine. Just makes everybody happy. I don't know.
It's
whatever. Yeah, it's all terrible.
No, that
All
was
bad for you.
But
But
actually
now in today's version, it's probably like a spoonful of like, flaxseed oil or something.
a spoon. What is it? A spoonful of gluten-free sugar. It don't even rhyme in the song, but you got to do it like that. That was actually my exact reaction when I first heard they were doing this. Just why? Why? Because Disney smells the money truck. That's why.
They do.
Yes.
They do.
Now, all right, man. I think we are going to get out of here for tonight. Hopefully, we will get to be back in some form next week because I don't really want to be off next week. I don't. I know it's Christmas and everything, and Merry Christmas to everyone out there. You, Eric, as well, and you have fun with your fiance and everything. I don't want to be off next week though, so I'm hoping we are able to get together, you, me, Dave, at some point, and put something together for the kids out there. For the kids.
I'm all for it. Let's try to make it happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any final words, Eric?
No, just like you said, I hope you have a Merry Christmas. And, like I said, we'll try to hook up in the next couple of days and get something that we can at least put out next week.
Yeah. All right. So that is going to do it for us here for tonight. Eric Trusser, once again, thank you for being here. And I am Mike Aglioloro. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we will see you in some form next week.